This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. Welcome to another episode of Mountaineer Moment. This is episode number 24 on this podcast covering West Virginia football and basketball, and it is time to preview some Big 12 conference football. Mountaineers are set to open up conference play on the road this season in a matchup with the Kansas Jayhawks. If you remember, the Mountaineer basketball team feels like forever ago, but back on New Year's Eve opened up conference play in Lawrence, Kansas, and ended up getting their very first win at Allen Fieldhouse, and my wife and I actually happened to be in the stands for that. When I'm looking over, seeing if she's listening to me. She is listening to me. We were there, and it happened to be on our anniversary. So I have a great wife who is willing to be able to go to Lawrence, Kansas for our anniversary to watch the Mountaineers beat the Jayhawks. But anyway, Mountaineer football will be opening up their conference season in the same way that the basketball team did in Kansas. And so we're going to preview that action this week. This episode number 24 of Mountaineer Moment, is just going to be focused in on something we've done the last 3 weeks that have been pretty fun. Some over-unders, gotten a little bit of feedback, so we're going to keep doing it. People like this. And so some over-unders, some numbers to watch for in this Big 12 opener for the Mountaineers. And I've got 4 of them for you in this one. So over or under here on Mountaineer Moment in the matchup with Kansas. Again, Mountaineer Moment podcast covering West Virginia football and basketball. Relatively new, but we're plugging away at this thing through the football season. Blown away by the support and just the audio listens and video views and all sorts of stuff. Subscriber count, we're going in the right direction, and so welcome to the Mountaineer Moment. We're happy you're here. You can subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and be in the know when we have new content coming. So over or under number 1. This is a fun one. Ty Edwards, our boy, who exploded onto the scene in the backyard brawl for his first ever carry. He got his first ever carry in the backyard brawl. And he just so happened to get 25 of them in his first game at running back for the Mountaineers. And so and he had 141 yards. You'll see why this number's where it's at. He had 141 yards and 3 touchdowns on 25 carries. Dude was a workhorse and entered into a game where West Virginia couldn't do anything offensively the week before, like 7 days before. Could not do anything offensively. In comes Ty Edwards, and all is solved, all is right with the world, 141 yards. So the number for Ty Edwards in this game with Kansas is just will he or won't he go for another 100-yard game. So 99.5 yards for Ty Edwards, over or under. Again, this Northern Iowa transfer, Ty Edwards, who had over 1,000 yards last season at Northern Iowa, was one of those 4 players involved with suing the NCAA over his eligibility. Finally gets cleared like the week of game against Robert Morris, or maybe just a couple days before that, but he was unable to practice with the team the whole time leading up to that. All he had was a playbook, right, and could work out on his own, of course, and so it was a mess, and he dressed out for the first 2 games. We saw him a couple times on the field, but never got a carry until week 3. Until the backyard brawl, and from his very first carry, you could tell that this kid is really, really good. He's really, really good. Big back, but he's fast as well, not afraid of contact. I don't know how many of those 141 yards came after first contact, but it's a bunch of them, and here he is, and he's been incredible. I mean, just 1 week, it was absolutely incredible. Will always forever be remembered for his 2025 backyard brawl performance against Pitt, to get the win in overtime, to have 3 touchdowns, and the touchdown in overtime in that massive jumbo formation for the Mountaineers is just pretty special for Ty Edwards. So you love to see it. And even his comments post-game, humble kid, and excited to be a Mountaineer. And I think, stat sheet aside, box score aside, if you just watch that game or you watch one of his 25 carries, I mean, you could tell, again, big physical, yeah, but like he wanted the job. Like he wants those carries. He's running very hard. And I'm not the only one saying, like, there's plenty of posts saying, like, he ran angry. He just ran well. And he got the job done for the Mountaineers. Without his performance against Pitt, we don't win that game. It's not even close. And so that line is set at 99.5. Will he or won't he go for another 100-yard performance? And the reason it's there is, and if you watch the previous episode, the scouting report on Kansas, Kansas struggled in their last game, gave up 42 points to Missouri, 42-31 loss for them, and they struggled to defend the pass and the run. But Missouri had two guys eclipse the 100-yard total against Kansas, and they had 267 yards on 47 carries, good for 5.6 yards per carry, which just so happens to be the exact yards per carry that Ty Edwards just had in the Pitt game. So I would take the over here. I think, Rich, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And, if Ty Edwards has any success running the ball early, I mean, he's going to get a bunch of carries. And, I'm not saying he's going to get 25 again, but if he gets 25 again and averages 4 yards, there's your number. He hits the over. And I mean, that 25 carries, and I think Clay Ash had 12 against Pitt. So, I mean, Ty Edwards, if he's healthy, and he played so well, was the story of the game offensively for the Mountaineers, other than the quarterback situation with Nico checking back in and all that. But, there's no reason to believe that Ty Edwards won't be the feature back for the Mountaineers moving forward. And I think he can break 100. So I'm going over. All right. Next one, a Kansas one here. Quarterback Jalon Daniels. We said it on the last episode. He's back for his 17th year as a Kansas Jayhawk. Couldn't even get through that without laughing. But he has been here a long time. If you're wondering, he started his career at Kansas in 2020. And he's still here. Still here as the Kansas quarterback. And we're setting his line for passing yards at 239.5 passing yards. So will he go over 240 or will he be under that mark? Through 3 games so far, Daniels has 9 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. He's has a great completion percentage of 72%. Went 18 for 20 in their opener against Fresno State with 3 touchdowns. And they obviously struggled to run the football. They were still against Missouri. We mentioned that, but Daniels still was able to throw for 223 in that game. And he's more than a more than capable runner. He just hasn't gotten super involved with his legs yet. Just 90 yards, I believe, through 3 games. He's had a couple seasons at Kansas where he eclipsed the 400-yard mark on the ground. So with their inability, especially to run the football against Missouri, I would anticipate trying to get Jalon Daniels a little bit more involved in the run game. Maybe that's going to help. Daniel Hillshaw and the other backs there. So I would take the under here at 239.5. I mean, even when Daniels can have a really, really solid game and throw for 230 yards. He can have a solid game and throw for 180 yards, right, because of his legs and what he's able to do there. We just haven't seen it yet. In 2025 and 2024, we did 447 yards and 6 touchdowns. So take the under here, but we'll see what happens. And again, some of that even has to do with the weapons that Kansas has. They lost their top 9 pass catchers. Top 9 pass catchers, right? West Virginia is not the only team, retooling. I mean, obviously, no one's really doing it at the level West Virginia is. As far as 81 new guys on this roster. But Jalon Daniels he's having to learn and to find new targets on the perimeter for himself. And so that's why that number's at 239.5. I'm going to take the under. Not to say that Jalen's going to have a bad game or anything like that, but take the under here based on his history, even as a Jayhawk. All right. Thirdly, and this is a fun one that I just picked up, and noticed when I looked at Kansas, and obviously knowing what West Virginia has done so far this season. This one is the total number of sacks and tackles for loss, West Virginia and Kansas combined. So if West Virginia gets 3 sacks and Kansas gets 3 sacks, that is a number of 6. All right, and we're going to throw in tackles for loss in that number. And the number we're setting it, and I'm going to explain this over, just what these two teams have done so far, but the number we're setting that at is 21.5 for a total number of sacks and tackles for loss combined for West Virginia and Kansas. Both these teams have really been effective at getting to the quarterback, disrupting plays in the backfield. Even after giving up 42 points to Missouri, Kansas still had 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss in that loss to Missouri. And West Virginia, we know what they did against Pitt, 6 sacks and 8 TFLs in that win. And obviously, if history repeats itself and these defenses are going to continue to disrupt the flow offensively for these teams, you can expect that line to be pretty close to 21.5. But we'll take the under here. I know I hyped it all up, and then I'm just going to say take the under. 20.5 it's still pretty steep. But again, I mean, even Kansas did the same thing in their first 2 games. TFLs and sacks. West Virginia, we know what they've been able to do as well. And Zach Alley and his mantra and what he likes to do, dialing up blitzes, getting to the backfield, making quarterbacks uncomfortable. But 21.5, I mean, that's a good bit. I think it will be close, but we'll say take the under on this one. And then lastly, over or under 1.5 turnovers forced by the Mountaineers. Not Kansas included in this one, but how many interceptions or fumble recoveries will the Mountaineers pick up in the matchup with Kansas? Interestingly enough, West Virginia in their first 3 games has only won the turnover battle 1 time, and that was the game that they looked the worst in against Ohio, and they lost that game. Picked off Parker Navarro 3 times in the second half, but weren't able to get the win. Against Robert Morris, West Virginia fumbled the ball about 83 times, but they benefited from 2 turnovers. Darian Lewis intercepted. He got an interception against Ohio, but they also had 2 turnovers against Robert Morris. And then Darian Lewis intercepted Eli Holstein in the end zone against Pitt in the backyard brawl for the lone forced turnover there for West Virginia, despite 2 interceptions thrown by Scotty Fox. Little numbers here to kind of, we'll say, influence you to take the over 1.5 turnovers. Jalon Daniels, in his very long career at Kansas, has thrown 26 interceptions. Last season alone, he threw 12, paired with just 14 touchdown passes. Again, Zach Alley likes to, West Virginia's already nearing their turnover total from last season under Zach Alley, and many are praising his work and his effort in leading this group. So I'm going to take the over here. I think, with Daniels, his history, he's probably good for a pick, right? We said the same thing about Parker Navarro, and he threw 3 of them in the second half. So I like the over here because of West Virginia and their defense and disguising pressure and different looks and just disrupting things. And, it can give up explosive plays from time to time. They had, Pitt had a couple explosives. But, man, offenses can look uncomfortable. And when things look uncomfortable, you're more likely, you're not throwing from a clean pocket, or you're, trying to knock the ball out with a ball carrier. You're more likely to turn the ball over. So take the over here of 1.5 forced turnovers by West Virginia. And hopefully that can be a difference maker for the Mountaineers. If we go out and play clean football, penalty-free football, that kind of thing, and you get a couple turnovers on your side, that's the kind of thing you need to pick up a road win in the Big 12 against a team that's, a double-digit favorite in this matchup. So that is over or under for the Mountaineers Week 4 game number 4 matchup and Big 12 opener with the Kansas Jayhawks. Game time is set for, what is it? I think it's 6:30. Yep. No, 6 o'clock on FS1, 6 o'clock Saturday night, 6 o'clock Eastern. And we'll have a couple more episodes coming still. And as part of the preview for the Kansas Jayhawks, a little bit more about what the Mountaineers need to do in order to pick up this win. The episode before this goes into great detail about who Kansas is, what they bring to the table, what kind of offense they got, what kind of defense they got, who they're returning, who are the newcomers, what's that offensive line looking like, why are they struggling to run the football, that kind of thing. So we just called it the Kansas Scouting Report. That episode is up, the previous one to this one, and then again a couple more coming before game action on Saturday. Again, Mountaineer Moment, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you're watching or listening. Please subscribe and join the Mountaineer Moment, and let's go Mountaineers.